This is the story of how a simple spiced cookie connects us to ancient civilizations, global trade routes, and a tradition that spans thousands of years. The gingerbread man you know from childhood fairy tales and Christmas decorations has roots reaching back to ancient Egypt, and the secret behind its survival hides in the very ingredients that make it taste so good. Let me take you back to where this all began, because the origin point sits much further in the past than you probably think. Ancient Egyptians were creating honey-sweetened cakes for ceremonies and offerings to their gods in 2400 BCE, over 4,400 years ago. Now you might be thinking, that's not gingerbread, and you'd be right. But here's what matters. They discovered something that changed everything about food preservation. Honey isn't just sweet. It's a natural preservative with antimicrobial properties, which meant those ancient bakers stumbled onto a way to make cakes that could last far longer than ordinary bread. The Greeks picked up this tradition around the 5th century BCE and made honey cakes called millennia, sometimes shaping these into figures. Romans continued the practice, creating their own spiced honey cakes and spreading this knowledge throughout their empire as they conquered territory after territory across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. For thousands of years, civilizations around the Mediterranean knew how to make sweetened, shaped cakes that wouldn't spoil quickly, but they were still missing the key ingredient that would transform these ancient treats into what we recognize as gingerbread. That ingredient was traveling toward them along one of the most important trade routes in human history. Ginger is native to Southeast Asia and was traded along the Silk Road for millennia. Those ancient networks connecting Asia to the Middle East and eventually to Europe. The spice didn't really arrive in Europe in significant quantities until the 11th century, when crusaders and spice traders brought it back. When I say ginger was valuable, I mean it was expensive in ways that are hard to imagine today. Medieval Europeans didn't have access to the spice islands of Indonesia, where cloves and nutmeg came from, or to Sri Lanka, where cinnamon originated, so these spices had to travel thousands of miles, passing through multiple hands, with each trader adding their markup. Ginger, along with cinnamon, cloves and nutmeg, made gingerbread a luxury item that only the wealthy could regularly afford. But here's what made ginger special beyond its cost. It contains a bioactive compound called gingerol, and medieval people valued ginger as a digestive aid and medicine because it had antimicrobial properties. When combined with honey's natural preservation qualities and the low moisture content of the baked dough, you had a food that could last for extended periods without spoiling. One of the earliest references to gingerbread in European records appears in 992 CE, and by the 11th through 15th centuries, gingerbread became strongly associated with monasteries and was used during religious ceremonies. The monks were bakers, scholars, and keepers of recipes who perfected the art of gingerbread making. Gingerbread became a specialty in certain European cities by the 13th century, particularly in Germany and France. In fact, guilds controlled gingerbread production in some of these cities, which meant only guild members could legally make and sell it. That's how valuable and important this product was. It required professional regulation. The German city of Nuremberg became famous for its gingerbread, called Lebkuchen, by the 14th century. This wasn't just any cookie. This was serious business, and Nuremberg's Christmas market, the Christkindlesmarkt, featured elaborate gingerbread that became renowned across Europe. But when did people start shaping gingerbread into human figures? Decorative gingerbread molds became popular across Europe during the 15th and 16th centuries, and that's when things get interesting. Queen Elizabeth Fern of England, who reigned from 1558 to 1603, is credited with popularizing gingerbread shaped like people, and according to tradition, she had gingerbread figures made to resemble visiting dignitaries. Imagine being a foreign ambassador and receiving a cookie version of yourself as a gift from the Queen of England. Now, I should note that this attribution to Queen Elizabeth isn't definitively documented in primary sources. It's a traditional claim. What we know for certain is that by the 16th century in Germany, gingerbread men became popular at Christmas markets and fairs. Why human shapes? Elaborately decorated gingerbread was served at royal courts and used as diplomatic gifts, moulded into animals, religious symbols, and decorative shapes. But the human figure had a particular appeal because it was personal, recognizable, and could be decorated elaborately. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries in England, gingerbread stalls became fixtures at fairs, and some vendors were even called gingerbread wives. The fairground tradition made gingerbread accessible to common people, not just the wealthy. Now we get to the story that made the gingerbread man a permanent fixture in our culture. St. Nicholas magazine, an American children's publication, printed a story called The Gingerbread Boy in 1875. This is the first known printed version of the tale we all know, where an old woman bakes a gingerbread man who comes to life and runs away, leading everyone on a chase while shouting his famous refrain. "Run, run, as fast as you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." The story is what folklorists call a cumulative tale, a repetitive chase narrative where more and more characters join the pursuit. The gingerbread man outruns the old woman, the old man, a cow, a horse, and others, growing more confident and boastful with each escape until he meets a fox who tricks him and eats him. It's a story about pride and hubris leading to an inevitable fate, classic folklore. The story likely circulated orally before 1875, since oral traditions are difficult to date precisely, but similar runaway food tales exist in multiple cultures, which suggests older folklore roots. The 1875 publication is what cemented the gingerbread man in popular culture and spread the story across America and eventually back to Europe in its standardized form. While we're talking about gingerbread in popular culture, we can't ignore the gingerbread house tradition. Gingerbread houses became popular in early 19th century Germany, and many historians believe this was inspired by the Brothers Grimm fairy tale Hansel and Gretel, published in 1812. You know the story. Two children lost in the forest discover a house made entirely of sweets, including gingerbread, and the witch's house is the ultimate trap disguised as the ultimate fantasy. The edible house tradition combines architecture with confectionery art, and people have taken this to extraordinary extremes. The largest gingerbread house was created in Texas at the Traditions Club in Bryan in 2013, measuring 60 feet long, 42 feet wide, and 10.1 feet tall. That's not a gingerbread house. That's a gingerbread mansion. Gingerbread house kits have become a popular seasonal craft and food item, especially during the holiday season, from November through December, bringing together the ancient art of gingerbread making with family activity and creative expression. Here's something most people don't know about gingerbread. The recipe has evolved significantly over the centuries. Early gingerbread was often more bread-like in texture, but the modern recipes we use today, with more sugar and a higher proportion of spices creating that snap and distinctive flavour, developed in the 17th and 18th centuries as sugar became more available and recipes were refined. The spices themselves remained fairly consistent: ginger, cinnamon, cloves and nutmeg. But the proportions, the amount of sweetener, and the baking techniques changed as technology improved and ingredients became more accessible. What didn't change was the cultural significance. Whether it was medieval monks making gingerbread for religious ceremonies, Queen Elizabeth commissioning portrait cookies, fairground vendors selling gingerbread men to crowds, or families baking gingerbread houses together, this treat maintained its special status across centuries. Gingerbread remains popular commercially today, especially during the holiday season, and major cookie and baking companies produce gingerbread products year-round, though sales peak dramatically in November and December. Different cultures have maintained their distinct gingerbread traditions. Sweden makes pepparkakor, thin ginger cookies, while Norway has pepparkakor following similar traditions. German Lebkuchen remains a Christmas staple, and Nuremberg still holds its famous Christkindlesmarkt with elaborate gingerbread displays. National Gingerbread Day falls on June 5th in the United States, and gingerbread house competitions are held worldwide, with some featuring incredibly elaborate architectural creations. And then there's pop culture. The 2001 film Shrek introduced Gingy, the gingerbread man character, to a new generation, and that character, tortured by Lord Farquaad in one of the film's memorable scenes, brought the old fairy tale into modern cinema and made the gingerbread man relevant to children who might never have heard the original 1875 story. So what is the 3,000-year-old secret behind the gingerbread man? It's not one secret, it's several, layered on top of each other like the evolution of the treat itself. The first secret is preservation. Ancient Egyptians discovered that honey's antimicrobial properties allowed their cakes to last, and when medieval Europeans added ginger and other spices, which also have antimicrobial properties, and baked the dough with low moisture content, they created something that could survive for extended periods. This wasn't just delicious, it was practical. The second secret is the global connection, because the gingerbread man represents thousands of years of trade routes, cultural exchange, and the movement of ideas and ingredients across continents. That ginger travelled from Southeast Asia along the Silk Road. Those spices came from Indonesia and Sri Lanka, and the honey tradition came from ancient Egypt through Greece and Rome. Every gingerbread man is a tiny edible map of human commerce and cultural diffusion. The third secret is symbolic endurance. Humans have been shaping sweetened dough into figures for over 1,000 years, from ancient Greek militonta to Queen Elizabeth's diplomatic cookies to the fairy tale character running from the fox, and we've used these shaped treats for ceremony, celebration, gift-giving and storytelling. The gingerbread man has survived because it serves a purpose beyond nutrition as a cultural touchstone that carries meaning. And the fourth secret? It's simple. Gingerbread tastes good and smells amazing. And the combination of ginger, cinnamon, cloves and nutmeg creates a flavor profile that humans across cultures and centuries have found irresistible. All the history and symbolism in the world wouldn't matter if the actual cookie wasn't delicious. The next time you see a gingerbread man, whether it's a cookie in a bakery, a character in a children's book, or a decoration on a Christmas tree, remember that you're looking at the end result of a journey that spans millennia. You're seeing ancient Egyptian honey cakes that could last through long ceremonies, spices that travelled the Silk Road carried by traders who risked their lives for profit, medieval monks perfecting recipes in monastery kitchens, Queen Elizabeth's court bakers moulding diplomatic gifts, fairground vendors making treats accessible to common people, a fairy tale published in 1875 that taught children about pride and consequences, German Christkindlesmarkt traditions, and Swedish pepparkakor, and American gingerbread house competitions. The gingerbread man isn't just a cookie, it's a thread connecting us to our ancestors, to global trade, to shared stories and traditions. It's survived for thousands of years not because someone decreed it should, but because generation after generation found it valuable enough to preserve, adapt, and pass on. That's the real secret. The gingerbread man endures because we want it to, because some things are too good, too meaningful, and too delicious to let disappear. And that refrain from the 1875 story, "Run, run, as fast as you can, you can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man," Turns out the gingerbread man was right. We couldn't catch him. He's been running for thousands of years and he's still going strong.